Do you remember the favorite book of Joey from Friends? It was the only novel he'd read, and when he was scared, he would put it in the freezer. It was The Shining by Stephen King, the movie with the same title directed by Stanley Kubrick and starring the unforgettable Jack Nicholson as the popular book. The adaptation, which was made in 1980, still is on the first place on the list of the best horror movies of all time. How did it earn this title? What was the inspiration behind this dark tale? Why does the writer hate the movie adaptation of his book so much? And what can we expect from Dr. Sleep, the movie which is a continuation of his scary blockbuster? Stay with us to the end to find out, and do not fear, there will be no spoilers. Stephen King is one of the most popular horror writers in the world, and The Shining is probably his most recognizable work. The author, who had already had a successful debut with Carrie and released the bestseller Salem's Lot, wrote another novel after his short stay with his family at the Stanley Hotel located in the Rocky Mountains. Now pay attention to the name of the hotel because it's extremely symbolic. The Shining is a story of an aspiring writer, Jack Torrance, who struggles with a strong addiction and a writer's block. He goes with his family to a historic secluded hotel where he's supposed to be a caretaker for the winter. His son, who has possessed psychic abilities called The Shining, discovers dangerous supernatural forces hidden in the hotel. The main character, because of his own demons, loses his sanity, and that leads to a tragedy. The book, which is a psychological horror, contained many references to King's real life and his own experiences. Meanwhile, the novel became famous mainly thanks to the movie adaptation made by Stanley Kubrick. The Stanley Hotel, Stanley Kubrick, here's the symbolism, and the main character of the story, Jack Torrance, for years has been associated only with Jack Nicholson's demonic face expression. This role, along with the Joker from Batman, have been one of Nicholson's most memorable and scary creations. Let's not forget that scene with the axe when he screams, "Here's Johnny!" And it became one of the most iconic scenes in cinema, and many times it was on the first place of the list of the most terrifying scenes in history. Did you know that despite the fact that many people consider The Shining a classic and an outstanding movie in its genre, the author is not a fan of it? Stephen King was disappointed with the final version of the movie, and as he said many times in interviews, he still can't understand why the viewers think that this version of the story is scary. King thought that the director had broke the rules of the genre, and through the choice of the main actor, he showed that the main character had been crazy from the beginning, and unlike in his novel, he broke down because of metaphorical feelings of remorse, failures, and secrets. Have you seen the movie? Do you think it's better than the book? Can you imagine another actor in the role of Jack Torrance? It later turned out that not only Stephen King had a problem with the adaptation of the novel. When the movie appeared in the cinemas, the reactions were mixed, with the majority of them being negative. People criticized the cast and the director Stanley Kubrick. The Variety magazine wrote that the movie ruined everything that was frightening in the novel. It still earned $44 million in America, which wasn't a bad result, but it was far behind such productions as The Omen or Halloween and Alien. But as it is often in the film industry, The Shining over time started attracting more and more viewers and started becoming iconic and gained the status of one of the most popular horror movies of all time. It also remains the most watched Stanley Kubrick movie among his 16 works. And did you know that there have been a massive problem with the filming of the movie from the very start? Can we say that there's a curse? First of all, the process of making the movie took a very long time. Jack Nicholson expected that he would have spent half a year on the set, but his movie partner Shelley Duvall admitted that she worked for 13 months. In addition, the actress suffered from somatic disorder caused by exhaustion. It caused her hair to fall out like crazy, and because of the dehydration on the set, she constantly had to be supplied with water. In one of the interviews, the actress admitted that the performance in the movie was the most difficult in her career. She said that working with Kubrick was an experience that she would not exchange for any other, but she definitely would never do it again. Now, we know that Shelley Duvall will not return in the role of the mother in the upcoming continuation of the movie. It's because the actress is struggling with a serious mental illness. In 2016, the star of not only The Shining, but also of such productions as Annie Hall or Popeye, appeared on the Dr. Phil show, where she confessed that she sometimes sees her late colleague Robin Williams and that she's haunted by the Sheriff of Nottingham, which is a fictional character from Robin Hood. And the actress actually admitted that she needed help. What was surprising, or not really, Stanley Kubrick is blamed for her condition. But why? According to Jack Nicholson, the director was cruel towards her. He told the people on the set not to show her any sympathy, and he never praised her work. As Duvall later admitted, it was all because for a few months she had to cry for 12 hours a day, 6 days a week for several months. Is this what Jack Nicholson's time on the set looked like as well? Before I tell you that, do you remember how I mentioned a curse? Well, what you need to know is that during the filming, the equipment broke down, causing a loss of $2.5 million, so there were delays in recording. Editing the movie took almost a year, and the final cost of production was $18 million. It was twice the amount that was planned. But still, that's not all. Because Danny Lloyd, who played Danny Torrance, was a child and it was his acting debut, he wasn't even told he was playing in a horror movie. The young actor didn't take part in the shooting of some of the scenes. He admitted that everyone was nice to him and they gave him peanut butter sandwiches. And on the set, he could ride around on a bicycle. By the way, did you know that in Toy Story, one of the scenes refers to this theme? Pay attention to the rug. But let's go back to Danny. He watched The Shining 11 years after the filming finished, and he'd never appeared in any of those productions after that. But he claims that it's not because of some trauma, but because he missed his 15 minutes. I wonder if this biology teacher and a father of 6 children will appear ever again for a short time, at least in the new part of The Shining. Would you like to see what he looks like now? While everybody made sure that Danny had a good time, Jack Nicholson's work on the set wasn't this easy. The director, who's known for his harshness and being a perfectionist, did everything so that Nicholson constantly was annoyed and nervous. That's why he made sure the actor got cheese sandwiches, which he truly hated. Besides that, during the filming, Kubrick would make so many changes in the script almost every day that at some point Nicholson stopped reading it and only prepared the fragment that he was supposed to play that particular day. The director often retook the shots, and because of that, the actors were just exhausted. Can you imagine that part with the baseball bat was recorded 127 times? Also, imagine that to shoot the scene with the door, they used 60 of them. That's because when Kubrick learned that Nicholson had once worked as a volunteer firefighter and he was able to smash a door, he ordered really solid doors instead of fake ones. And although the recording of that part took 3 days, one of the most famous and scariest scenes in history of cinematography was created that way. Well, a scene from the latest movie, Dr. Sleep, which is a continuation of The Shining, almost literally refers to that moment. So what do we know about the adaptation of the original story? Will it become a classic in its genre like the first part? Let's start with the fact that Stephen King himself is worried whether people who saw the movie but haven't read the book will not be confused when they reach for its continuation, the novel Dr. Sleep, because his version of The Shining and Kubrick's adaptation had very different plots. It also seems that this is why the author delayed writing it for such a long time, because the novel Dr. Sleep hadn't appeared until 2013 and was the writer's comeback to horror. But it seems that it was worth the wait because the readers and critics were delighted. Stephen King had to face not only his previous famous book, but also the adaptation, and as you can see, he succeeded. The book has even won the Bram Stoker Award. This time, the main character of the novel is Dan Torrance, Jack's son, who is tormented by nightmares from the past, and he's struggling with serious addiction and is wandering around America. Eventually, he ends up in the town of New Hampshire, where he brings relief to the people who are about to leave this world. Because of that, he gets the name Dr. Sleep, but he crosses paths with an organization that consists of people who have the same supernatural powers like he does. So it shouldn't be surprising that after the success of the novel, which is considered the best that Stephen King has released in years, the movie producers want to bring it onto the screens again. The movie adaptation of the book will be made by Michael Flanagan, who has already made several movies and TV series of this genre. Of course, this time, the expectations for his film are huge. After all, he also has to face the legendary production of the great director. Will the film follow the book or its previous adaptation? The premiere of the film Dr. Sleep is planned for November 8th. The director admitted in one of the interviews that he really wanted to connect the world pictured in the book with what was created by Kubrick and to get the writer's approval. He knew that from the beginning this wouldn't be easy. In the end, he succeeded, but as Flanagan revealed, he'd never been stressed like that in his career before. He was terrified when he was sending a sketch of the script to the author and a copy of the finished movie to him and to the Kubrick heirs. Fortunately, in both cases, he got the green light and approval. King has even written some words of appreciation about the production on his Twitter, which is something he doesn't do very often. Do you think this will be a good continuation? The final trailer of the production shows that the movie is full of references to The Shining. Besides the unforgettable musical theme, the most known is the Panorama Hotel, to which Danny and his supernatural powers returns after many years. You can't also miss the wonderfully detailed interiors that are associated with Kubrick's film. So there are also characteristic rugs, the door to Danny's rooms with red rum written on them, and the terrifying twins who are inviting the young Torrance to play. You may be wondering if Jack Nicholson will also appear on the screen. After all, his character from the book plays an important role in the final story. What we know at the moment is that he does appear in the movie, but it hasn't been revealed what his role will be. The cast of the new adaptation stars Ewan McGregor, who plays the main role. He's partnered by Rebecca Ferguson and Jacob Tremblay, and because the premiere of the movie is approaching really fast, there have already been the first reviews of journalists who have watched it. Everyone praises the cast and the atmosphere of the movie, and according to what Scott Menzel from We Live Entertainment said, this is the best adaptation of King's book since The Shawshank Redemption. And Mike Flanagan perfectly combined nostalgia, tension, mystery, and suspense. Are you looking forward to seeing the movie? Have you watched The Shining? Are you waiting for its continuation? Do you think the adaptation of The Shining was better than the book? Let's talk about it in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel to stay up to date with Curious Sips. Until next time.